Do folks realize how horrifying it is that on the same day Donald Trump wants to execute Democrats by hitting them, the U.S. Coast Guard announces that they will no longer consider the swastika, the noose, or Confederate symbols as hate symbols, but now merely divisive? All while ICE fascists arrest people in Chicago, more than 97% of whom have no criminal record whatsoever.
Okay, I think that we just need to have a little bit of a chat here. Stickers and nooses are always going to be symbols of hate.
The military service, which falls under the Department of Homeland Security, of which we know who the leader is, Kristi Noem, they no longer consider the chassis symbols and nooses as hate symbols. And yeah, I can already hear cockroaches running because you're like, what? Of course, there are those of you that are like, we already know. Yeah. My question is, do you think that Americans are underreacting to the situations and happenings of in the United States of embarrassment, or do you think they are giving this the appropriate reaction? Black people warned everybody about Project 2025, and a lot of people dismissed, denied, absolutely not, it's not there, it's a lie, you guys don't know what you're talking about. But it's displaying itself day by day in front of every person's face. And of course, the Jews are clashing powers, more other people, but there are those that are like, actually, we told you so. We have white, black people in here speaking so highly against this. But the thing is, it's not just about speaking so highly against it. Like, what is speaking so highly against this gonna change about this? Either way, I want us to look at some of these videos and the reactions from the people. And we will definitely come back and talk about it. Let me know what you think in the comment section, like and share. I will definitely be back with more.
George, good morning. Today, the Coast Guard is dealing with controversy after a newly published policy seemed to suggest that it was doing away with classifying a number of extremely offensive symbols as hate. And guys, we're talking about some of the worst symbols you can think of, including swastikas and nooses. A Coast Guard document dated November 2nd states that such symbols would be classified as harassment rather than as hate incidents. Quote, conduct previously handled as a potential hate incident, including those involving symbols widely identified with oppression or hatred, is processed as a report of harassment. The terminology hate incident is no longer present in policy. Guys, to say the least, that document led to a lot of confusion and led to a Washington Post headline stating that the Coast Guard would no longer classify swastikas and nooses as hate symbols. Not so, says the U.S. Coast Guard. The agency sent a notice to the workforce Thursday evening, bluntly stating that such symbols in any public settings are considered hate and would not be tolerated and would result in severe discipline, though the order made clear that such private settings like homes are not covered by the policy. Acting Coast Guard Commandant Kevin Lindy issued an order overnight reminding all Coast Guard personnel that, quote, divisive or hate symbols and flags are prohibited.
We have some major news right now. Bipartisan outrage has exploded on Capitol Hill after the United States Coast Guard under Kristi Noem say that in the next month, they're no longer going to classify nooses and swastikas as hate symbols, according to Washington Post reporting. It's a bombshell of really epic proportions. They're no longer going to be recognizing swastikas and nooses as hate symbols because they could be too divisive, according to the Washington Post. And Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, who's responsible for all of this, she's getting massive pushback, massive pressure right now from Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill because this is just unacceptable to everyone. Everyone is literally saying, what the hell is happening with the United States Coast Guard? Why are we going to now allow Coast Guard members to potentially wear swastikas or paint a noose somewhere? when they're clearly hate symbols and they shouldn't be allowed. So that's where we're at as a nation right now. Spread the word. I'll provide you more updates as we get more information. Spread the word. Follow along, stay updated on all the news that you need to know about. More to come soon.
I just want to know, why are y'all shocked that the Coast Guard will no longer consider swastika a dangerous symbol or racist symbol? PD Boy is running that shit. Did you see what was on his chest before he actually got approved to be in that position that he's in? Baby, I know the Jews are punching the fuck air. How the hell can the swastika, the Nazi symbol, not be a hate symbol anymore? Baby, the people that wore the swastika, they unalived Americans. Who would have thunk it? First they put the Saudi prince in the goddamn White House. Then he welcomes the Syrian president, who is actually a man that we had a $10 million bounty on for unaliving Americans, into the Oval Office and asked him how many wives he had. Now the swastika is no longer a hate symbol for the Coast Guard. This is no longer the United States of America. And on top of that, he's drilling on Florida and California's coastline, something that has not been done in decades, just to save the environment. Make America shit again. This man is destroying America before he dies. It's so dumb, it's not even funny.
Hey y'all, so y'all see this? So basically, the Coast Guard is no longer going to be classifying swastika and nooses as hate symbols. And I'm not surprised, but I've seen it all over on other news sources and stuff. People are just like clutching their pearls. And what's happening, what's going on with this country? I can't believe it. And I sit here and I say, how can you not believe it? When our members of Congress went and confirmed this MF, who has a whole racist tattoo on his chest, and they knew about it. The whole being verklempt and clutching pearls needs to stop, because I'm really sick of people acting like this is so shocking and what happened to our country. Our country has been like this. It's been fucked up. It's been racist. It's been all of the things. It's just that it wasn't affecting all of y'all. Black folks been dealing with stuff like this since we got here. Because believe it or not, there's still towns that as a black person, I would not even drive through in the middle of the daylight. Okay? So being surprised that this is being deemed okay because they don't want to seem divisive should not be surprising to you. And actually, it's quite highly offensive how surprised everyone is acting to me about this. When we kept telling you, and by we, I mean black people, black women, we kept telling y'all these motherfuckers are racist. We kept telling y'all they are confirming people that are racist, and the Congress is the one who did it. The senators and the representatives, they was damn Republicans, but representatives who put these people in place and confirmed these people, yeah, they're to blame because they did this. And they knew exactly what Pete Hegseth stood for. He doesn't even have the qualifications for the job he has. He's a definitely didn't earn it, okay? But y'all thought putting in an alcoholic without even the rank or credentials to do this job, with racist tattoos on his chest, wasn't going to turn around and start having racist shit in the military? The fact that they turned the names of Confederates back into the bases, they named it the Department of War. He's steadily trying to make sure black men can't be in the military because they have pseudofolliculitis. He's kicking women out of the military. Now y'all are all can't believe he's getting rid of nooses and swastikas. Why are y'all shocked? Instead of being shocked, get up off your ass and do something. Why don't y'all who voted for these Republicans who confirmed these people, why aren't y'all blowing their fucking phones up asking them why they ain't getting them out of here and why they ain't impeaching Trump? Instead of crying on the internet about how shocked you can't believe it is, do something about it. Because y'all crying over 11 months of pain, and y'all, you see black people been enduring this since our people got here. But y'all can't take 11 months? This is why we've been fighting for our lives since we got here, and y'all can't take 11 months. Get up off your ass, stop crying on the internet, call your representatives, and demand they get these fuck people out of here. Or stop crying when you see this, just know this is what the fuck it is.
Swastikas and nooses are no longer symbols of white supremacy or fascism. They are now just potentially divisive symbols. That's according to their new policy that they're getting ready to roll out on December 15th. Here in the Washington Post, it says, the military service, which falls under DHS, has drafted a new policy that classifies such items as potentially divisive. The Coast Guard will no longer classify the swastika, an emblem of fascism and white supremacy, inextricably linked to the murder of millions of Jews and the deaths of more than 400,000 U.S. troops who died fighting in World War II, as a hate symbol, according to a new policy that takes effect next month. Instead, the Coast Guard will classify the Nazi era insignia as potentially divisive under its new guidelines. Now, I want to note that according according to The Hill, we've got a quote in here from Admiral Kevin Lunde, acting Coast Guard Commandant, who denies it, saying the claims that the U.S. Coast Guard will no longer classify swastikas, nooses, or other extremist imagery as prohibited symbols are categorically false. These symbols have been and remain prohibited in the Coast Guard per policy. Now, that's what's being said, but I want to dig deeper here. Let's look at this article from AP. So the service stressed, however, that the symbols will remain prohibited. And so note what they say. The updated policy is seen by the Coast Guard as a way to strengthen its ability to report, investigate, and prosecute violators. Any display, use, or promotion of such symbols will be thoroughly investigated and severely. Okay, so it'll be thoroughly. What it makes it sound like is we'll investigate it and find out if you displaying or using the symbol is a problem. So instead of the policy stating these things are completely unacceptable, they're hate speech, they are divisive, they are symbols of white supremacy and fascism. No, we're just gonna we'll take it on a case by case basis, and don't worry, we'll look into it, and don't worry, people will be severely punished. Just trust us. That's one more thing, right? One more thing. So you've got a denial here, but the denials can't really refute the language. The fact of the matter is that the new policy is, instead of referring to them as hate speech, it's saying that they are politically divisive. Let's go back here to the Washington Post. So the new policy classifies such items as, potentially divisive. Is that the kind of clarity you want to see on these issues? This is one more example of making space for hate, for racism, for bigotry. It's one more example, and they just keep coming. Whether you're talking about this, or the 2 new 88-foot tall flagpoles at the White House, or the 9-star flag that showed up during Trump's first presidency on all of the government websites. It's one more example.
Let's take a look at this together now, shall we?
We have some major news right now. The Washington Post will no longer classify nooses and swastikas as hate symbols beginning next month under a new policy because apparently they're now potentially divisive symbols.
So let me get this straight. Black Lives Matter is considered a T organization because it is fighting for equality and the rights of Black Americans, okay? The Triple K is considered a Christian organization. The boss, the cross burners, the poop throwers, the lynchers. They're considered a Christian organization. And now in 2025, they said, hey, those things that you strange fruit Black people from, and that symbol, that S symbol, forget it. Doesn't mean anything. Black people, stay at home. Stay in the house. We need to stay in the house. Good day.
Coast Guard will no longer look at SWATs and nooses as hate symbols. And some people are going to be like, well, that's not a big deal. That is a very big deal. A white supremacist president with a white supremacist administration with a whole bunch of white supremacist voters and freaking cult followers are getting their way. They're making racism very legal again in ways that I can't subscribe. Like, what you mean swastikas and nooses are A-okay in their book, and they're no longer considered hate symbols. That's insane.
Okay, I think that we just need to have a little bit of a chat here. Swastikas and nooses are always going to be symbols of hate. Okay? We're going to add a Confederate flag to that too. Okay, so here's the thing. You can sit and argue as much as you want that pre-World War II, pre-Nazi Germany, that the swastika was used as a symbol of good luck and good fortune. Great, good for you. But we collectively, as a modern day society, we understand that that is not what people mean when they put the swastika up on things. Okay, it is used as a way of conveying anti-Semitism and hate. There's just no other use for that symbol. And if you are trying to argue the inverse of that, if you are believing that, like, what do we want to do? Make the swastika great again? That's not a thing. Okay? It's not a thing. I cannot believe that in the year 2025, with access to as much information as we could possibly ever fathom of consuming, that there are people from the bowels of society that believe that they should bring the swastika back. Rebrand it? You can't rebrand hate. I know that that is what evangelicals believe that you can do, that you can rebrand hate and call it love, but you can't. Some things are facts. The swastika is a symbol of unbridled, untethered hatred. A noose. There's no other reason why a noose would be used other than the obvious. The noose has been and will always be a symbol of hate. Jesus, I cannot believe. Here we are. We shouldn't be here, by the way.
So the Coast Guard no longer considers swastikas and nooses hate symbols anymore. No, they're just considered diverse. Guess I only have one thing to say to that, considering I had a swastika drawn in my garage this week. Bro, I don't give a... Like, you guys are terrible at rage baiting. Holy shit. Like, that bonehead who helped write Project 2025 that wrote his dissertation about black people knew absolutely nothing about us. What the fuck's his name? Kevin Roberts or something like that? Yeah, that idiot. He knew absolutely nothing because y'all have failed consistently since this started. Combined with his crash out today, saying that people who oppose him basically should be... Like, this is honestly just kind of pathetic and sad. Like, of all the supervillains we could have got, this is it. This y'all go. Y'all make me want to go to sleep. That's what I want to do. You're not interesting. You're boring. Your tactics are outdated and your way of thinking is ancient. That's why this isn't going to work. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bed. I'm actually bored to the point where I want to sleep. Better luck tomorrow, guys.
Do folks realize how horrifying it is that on the same day Donald Trump wants to execute Democrats by hanging them, the U.S. Coast Guard announces that they will no longer consider the swastika, the noose, or Confederate symbols as hate symbols, but now merely divisive? All while ICE fascists arrest people in Chicago, more than 97% of whom have no criminal record whatsoever. This is what systemic white supremacy looks like. He is pushing the Overton window, normalizing violence against dissenters, and I need folks to understand none of us are safe from this. Just because you might have the complexion for protection, Paul Mooney, does not mean that you will be spared from fascism. Because what the fascists do is they expand, they consume, they take over anyone and anything who stands in their way. This is not left versus right. This is fascism versus democracy. Please be on the right side of history before fascism comes for you as well.
It's Thursday, November 20th, 2025, and a few hours ago, the Washington Post released an exclusive story, and that story is the fact that the U.S. Coast Guard will no longer classify swastikas, nooses, or Confederate flags as hate symbols. As you might guess, the current regime is denying any and all knowledge of these classification changes. However, there is paperwork that those in the U.S. Coast Guard have seen that confirm this change in classification. I want to read from the article. It says, under the guidelines reported by the paper, these symbols will instead be considered, quote, potentially divisive, although flying the Confederate flag will remain banned. The response from the U.S. Coast Guard members are correct, though, because an anonymous Coast Guard official said, quote, we don't deserve the trust of the nation if we're unclear about the divisiveness of swastikas. A little analysis for you. This is what they really meant to say, instead of saying we're getting rid of woke ideology in our armed forces. What they really meant to say is we are going to indoctrinate people with white Christian nationalist ideologies and beliefs. And the military is the perfect place to do that, because who typically gets recruited to the military? Teenagers, those who are 18 and up, and they're young, and they are impressionable because their brains are not fully developed until at least 25, and they typically come from impoverished areas. The military is a ticket out to a better life. You have to hand it to them. The strategy is there in order to indoctrinate this massive generation of those that will loyally follow this regime. They're taking the right approach. That being said, this is terrifying, especially when in Germany, the presence of a swastika earns you jail time. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will give you updates as we learn them.
You might have seen in the news today the reports that the U.S. Coast Guard will no longer classify swastika and nooses as hate symbols. I want to read to you the letter the commandant just sent to all the men and women in the Coast Guard. And I'm going to explain why I think it's a problematic letter and it doesn't actually address what was really written in the policy. Coast Guard men and women, recent media reports have raised concerns about our updated harassing behavior prevention, response, and accountability policy, Commandant Instruction 5350.6, particularly regarding the classification of symbols like swastikas and nooses. I need to directly address these concerns. Let me be absolutely clear. The Coast Guard's policy prohibiting hate and discrimination is absolute. These prohibited symbols represent repugnant ideologies that are in direct opposition to everything we stand for. We have zero tolerance for hate within our ranks. The updated policies strengthens our processes for preventing and responding to harassing behavior. The objective is to clarify reporting procedures and responsibilities, streamline administrative requirements without undermining accountability, resolve reports at the lowest appropriate level. Display of these or other prohibited symbols are violations of law, destroy the Coast Guard team, and break the trust with the American people. We will continue to protect our people and create a safe, respectful, and professional workplace for all. I expect all leaders to act decisively and immediately on any allegation of misconduct, including violations of our core values. For those of you following along at home, the core values of the Coast Guard are honor, respect, and devotion to duty. The Anti-Harassment Program Office, AHPO, is available to answer questions at, and then they give the email address, Semper Paratus, and then it's signed by Kevin Lunde, the Admiral who is the acting Commandant, and Master Chief Petty Officer of the Coast Guard, Phil Waldron. The thing is that if this is what they actually meant, the policy was written so badly that, yeah, it looks like they're completely downgrading swastika and nooses to being problematic and not hate symbols. And at this point in our history, any leeway you give that, oh, you know, swastikas aren't hate symbols, they're just problematic and divisive. No, they're hate symbols. You have to call it what it is. And any sliding on that is an indicator of further slidings within the system. And that is what people are upset about. So this letter, okay, they're saying that those symbols are still considered hate and against policy and you cannot put them up. But then why did the policy not make it that clear?
Kristi Noem says the U.S. Coast Guard will no longer classify swastikas and nooses as hate symbols, and I just have a quick question, and that is why? Who does this benefit? What possible reason do they have to remove the distinction from these symbols? All I can think of in this seat, sitting here like an idiot, is that Kristi Noem has to spell it out for the final few remaining Patriot Front 3%er racist Nazis who didn't get the memo that they were trying to recruit people to these programs. And that finally removing the distinction, the hate speech distinction from the swastika would finally send a message to the few remaining slack-jawed idiots who haven't been smart enough to hear the dog whistle this entire time. That's the only thing that I can come up with. So if you MAGA conservatives could possibly just throw me a bone and explain to me what possible reason this is a good idea, I would love to hear it.
If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Okay, so when this administration removes the fact that swastikas and nooses are hate symbols, they're no longer hate symbols in the United States Coast Guard anymore because of this administration, that means that you're a Yahtzee. Okay, that's what it means. That's what it means. And I don't know why Christians are still pretending like we all don't see that their personal agenda with supporting this administration has nothing to do with anything else but white supremacy. That's what it's about. It's about white supremacy. Because if it wasn't about white supremacy, they wouldn't support it, and they certainly wouldn't support Yahtzee behavior and Elon salutes, and it's clear as day that this administration is a Yahtzee administration. And I don't know why we have to sit here and be gaslit when 2 + 2 does equal 4, folks. It does.
Donald Trump is on an absolute rampage today. He's made it clear that he would like Democratic lawmakers who go against orders to be executed. And now his Coast Guard no longer classifies swastikas or nooses as hate symbols. That's right, no longer classified as hate symbols, just divisive symbols. So this is the type of country we live in now, where showing swastikas or nooses are not considered criminal offenses or hate speech. I hope you all understand that this was the plan all along, So many things were laid out clearly for us in Project 2025, and we are living it day in and day out. It is becoming very clear to all of us that Donald Trump and his administration wants to openly target marginalized people. He wants to roll back any protections that people have had under previous administrations and instead allow them to be targeted. Please, please let that sink in. Our president does not care if people are harmed significantly or put to death under his watch.
Well, at least they are telling you who they are. You know, we've been having questions of why are so many black men missing? Why are they found strange-footed? Why? And there's been so much unanswered questions. I'm not trying to even insinuate anything, but I think this whole move insinuates a lot. It actually speaks volume than what we would even try to insinuate, to be honest. And it looks like the people that are actually engineering these things, they really do not care, because they know sure well that nobody is gonna do anything, because you have a commander-in-chief that is very okay with this. He's emboldened, and in fact he ushered in this with the whole beginning of get rid of DEI, dismantle Black history, Black figures, calling Black Lives Matter a terrorist organization, calling Antifa a terrorist organization too, speaking up, and then all of a sudden you are... So he allowed that. And I told you that we have a saying over here that to catch a thief, you must get a thief to catch a thief. And it makes a lot of sense that he had to surround himself with the like-minded people. And you might say that some of them are not like-minded, they are really good people, they are good Christians. Then they should speak up. Because if you don't speak up, then that is being complicit in everything that is going on, that is happening. At least put it on record that you are not part of this. Indeed, there are going to be a lot of MAGAs that are going to fall hard on this one, because you have a lot of Jews too in that whatever as well. And I know they're not going to take this lightly at all. So a lot of them, you're going to see, like they are calling it, symbols of division. You're going to see real division happening. But I think, according to me, this is not just division. There's a danger that lies in normalizing and okaying some of these things. I had to look up some of the meanings and what some of these things symbolizes, and when I tell you, my jaw dropped. And it drove me so many months back when I was making some videos about Black people complaining and reacting and talking about how actually Black people are missing truck drivers and stuff like that. As like, you know, it just drove me back, and it stirred the same emotions that I had that time. And knowing that a lot of people were deniers of Project 2025, talking about how this is not real. Yeah, you are dealing with, this is demonic. This right here is demonic, masked as Christian nationalism. That's not Christianity. Let us call what it is. That is not Christianity. That is not God-like. That is not Christ-like. That's not biblical. Stop, stop, stop lying in the name of the Lord. Stop it. Stop it, because it's not. It's not. It is totally something. Something took over. Something else took over. While the other side is not like, they are not perfect and all of that, because the purpose of this channel is not just to demonize the MAGAs, and because they demonize themselves anyway, the things they do really, yeah. While everybody's can be imperfect, but what is being normalized here is really, really not good. And when you call yourself the party of common sense, like, but again, to those that are being shocked, that are like, this should not be happening and all of that, this right here is the reason as to why so many people decided to not vote for him, because he himself is divisive. If the anointing flows from the head of the leader, you can only imagine what the rest of others have to receive and what they have to give. But that's exactly what is happening after literally talking about there needs to be execution, like taking out all people that were speaking and giving a message to the service members. And now, Kristi Noem is okay with this. And they are saying it will still be prohibited. But we all know that it will still be prohibited. That means it doesn't carry that weight anymore. I am praying for all of you. Christmas and all these seasons are just such perilous times. So may God watch over you and protect you. I want you to let me know what you think in the comment section. I am stopping here for today. I'll see you guys later. I love you so very much. And see you guys later. My name is Gracie. Bye all.